Kia ora. Ko Smith aho. Nā mai ki te whare. Welcome to the House. When the initial plan for the parliamentary week this week was promulgated by the government, the plan was to pass legislation under urgency, all week. There was an oddity though. The list of legislation indicated for debate didn't seem long enough or controversial enough to sustain the 25 hours of debate at least that a full week of urgency would include. The puzzle was solved on Tuesday when an extra, fresh bill was added to the list at the 11th hour, a bill that would be introduced under urgency and debated immediately through all stages with no referral to Select Committee or capacity for public feedback. This one.
I understand it is the intention of the government to introduce a bill.
Equal Pay Amendment Bill introduction.
The Equal Pay Amendment Bill is set down for first reading immediately.
The Equal Pay Amendment Bill returns the pay equity legislation back to something more like National's 2017 version, or possibly something a little tighter. Claimant access had been eased by Labour in 2020 with National support, but now the pendulum has returned. The government has said it will abide by equity claims already decided, but the 33 claims currently underway will be thrown out and will need to begin again, if they qualify under new, stricter conditions. Here's the Minister in charge, Brooke van Velden.
The bill will apply to existing unresolved claims and to review clauses in existing settlements. Existing pay equity claims will be discontinued and they will need to be raised under the amended legislation, whether they have been raised with the employer or filed at the authority and are not yet determined. The government is doing this because we consider it's important that everyone is on the same playing field from the start.
The new framework includes restricting allowable role comparisons. You can imagine the opposition were vexed.
How absolutely shameful. And why is not every woman on that side of the House hanging their head in shame?
This is a war on women.
This will come with the women of New Zealand standing up and saying, we do not accept a government that puts us second.
And here's Camilla Bellich with the opposition take on why.
This bill makes pay equity claims for low-paid workers much harder. It takes the threshold to 70%. It means that you can't bring a claim for 10 years. It gives employers the entire right to decide a comparator and whether a claim is meritorious. It's retrospective. It gets rid of existing pay equity settlements. It is a blow to every working, low-paid woman in New Zealand that works in a female-dominated role.
Brooke van Velden had a very different description of many of those same points.
A more robust process for raising a claim, where claims need to have merit to progress. Further tools for employers to ensure that claims are appropriately scoped. Additional clarity and guidance on how to choose an appropriate comparator and on comparison methodology. Changes to enable employers to meet their pay equity obligations in a manner that is sustainable.
One of the themes that returned regularly through debate on this bill was whether or not its sudden arrival and urgent dispatch is primarily timed for the budget, which is 2 weeks away, and whether these changes are aimed to improve the government's books in consideration of possible future financial liabilities. National MPs have poo-pooed that idea. Louise Upston.
This piece of legislation is not about saving money.
Opposition MPs, you might have guessed, felt differently. Jen Tanetti.
To grasp desperately to make their budget balance. And so what are they doing? They are throwing women under the bus.
This bill has been almost the only thing mentioned so far this week in the House, and that includes during question time, when it was the focus of most opposition queries. Again, the financial motive was a core query. In response to one of those questions, the Minister of Finance gave alternative reasons in an interaction with Barbara Edmonds.
Because what we found, Mr Speaker, was that claims were being able to be progressed across a range of issues that went beyond the intended scope as it related to discrimination on the basis of sex.
What claims were outside the scope of the legislation that required the legislation to now change urgently before her budget?
Well, Mr Speaker, it's long been the practice of this House that we won't make legal judgments about which claims may or may not be successful in future.
You just said there were.
As commentators have noted, ACT and National have had slightly different takes on this question. ACT Minister Brooke van Velden was asked about it during the committee stage.
And while there have been comments made about potential savings, what I can say is that there are significant reductions in cost to government, but I can't go into budget.
You've been listening to The House. It's a whakaronga koe ki te whare. This program is produced with funding from Parliament's Office of the Clerk. Mā te wā.